emergency alarm went off.
A recipe for a major insurance crisis.
We can ramrod through these so-called anti-woke bills left and right, but we can't deal with an issue that is infecting millions of people in this state.
This is a conversation that we're all having.
We expect the population program to continue.
Can you tell our viewers why it is so important to have this done?
This is my home insurance. My insurance on my vehicle is my home insurance.
Many of our homeowners can't afford to live in Florida anymore.
I'm at like the cusp of, do I stay, do I leave?
This is an NBC2 Special Report. Florida's insurance crisis. Here's Kellie Burns, Peter Busch, and Rob Duns.
Property insurance is the biggest crisis to impact Florida homeowners since the housing crash of 2008. Good evening, I'm Kellie Burns.
And I'm meteorologist Rob Duns. With the 2024 hurricane season starting tomorrow and the expectation being it will be a busy one, we wanted to bring you a half-hour special on a topic that has dominated the headlines for years.
And I'm Peter Busch. We're going to help you understand how we got here. We're also going to meet people making the gut-wrenching decision to give up on owning a home and tell you how you can protect your investment and save on your policy at the same time.
In the shadow of Hurricane Ian, an insurance crisis exploded in Florida. Homeowners are paying the highest average premiums in the nation, $6,000 or more a year. Compare that to the national average of about $1,700.
NBC2 Chief Political Reporter Dave Elias has been following the insurance industry since it began spiraling out of control.
Peter, Florida is a complicated market, and simply put, lawsuits, fraud, and hurricanes got us here. We're going to begin in 2017. That's when insurance companies got hit with millions of dollars in lawsuits. Lawsuits that, when awarded to policyholders, allowed attorneys to bill their clients 2.5 times their billing rate.
Florida faced many years of a man-made insurance crisis.
Florida's Office of Insurance Regulation reported that between 2017 and 2021, insurance companies paid out $51 billion in lawsuits, and 71% of that money went to the attorney's fees, and only 8% went to the homeowners.
The trial attorneys got very rich on these mass volumes of lawsuits, which were completely out of control in Florida.
79% of home insurance lawsuits nationwide occurred right here in Florida.
We were seeing more than 100,000 lawsuits filed a year against Florida insurers. Most states don't even see 1,000 a year.
That avalanche of roofing scam lawsuits plunged companies into bankruptcy, pulling out of the state. And when insurance companies go bankrupt, the state picks up the claims. These 14 companies liquidated, including St. John's and United Property and Casualty, insuring thousands here in Southwest Florida. Big companies like Farmers Insurance, Nationwide, and Progressive are all doing less business in the state, leaving thousands more homeowners to get dropped with few options. In the spring of 2022, state lawmakers passed bills fixing the glaring problems, and that left people with few options. And now 1.2 million people are with the state's insurer of last resort, Citizens Insurance. Then, on September 28th, Hurricane Ian created $109 billion in damages to Florida alone.
Basically, Hurricane Ian was the icing on the cake.
In the last 2.5 years, the Florida legislature has passed 16 insurance-related bills, 6 alone in 2024. That's a rapid pace, but is it enough? Dave is answering that for us.
Well, some of the changes passed this year include refunding $200 million in grant money. The My Safe Florida grant now includes condo owners, and another bill says that Citizens customers who have to carry flood insurance can just insure their home and not the contents.
There's still more to do.
State Representative Adam Botana telling me exclusively that he's willing to revisit a bill introduced last session by his colleague Spencer Roach, which would have the state take over wind coverage through Citizens Insurance.
Maybe look at Citizens as a co-op for Florida, and we're going to look at that again and see if that's, an avenue that we need to pursue.
We need this bill. There's just no way around it. Again, we can keep kicking that can down the road, but it is going to be inevitable that we have some sort of universal coverage.
Federal lawmakers, too, are getting involved.
Dave, you hear it, I hear it. We all, we know it's a problem.
Senator Rick Scott wants to give people who must have flood insurance a federal tax break, and he wants to change the way people pay for flood insurance.
Let people pay on a monthly basis rather than an annual basis, so people can afford it better.
And Congressman Byron Donalds supporting the bill in the House.
Obviously, it's hurting the bottom line for a lot of families, and it's not something that you want to see occur. At the same time, it is getting more and more expensive to rebuild homes.
Homeowners, though, say
it just sucks for consumers.
Despite all of this,
it has been a big issue.
They are not seeing rates decrease.
It has gone up about $800.
And State Representative Spencer Roach issuing this warning to lawmakers.
This coming November may send an even clearer message that I'm trying to send to some of my friends and colleagues that they ignore this issue at their peril.
We get it. Insurance can be confusing and a little boring, but it's also a necessity for most people. Now, when shopping around, you want to make sure a provider is financially strong, and that comes down to ratings. AM Best provides those and bases a portion of that rating on reinsurance. You may have heard the term reinsurance. It's basically insurance for insurance companies. It allows companies to spread out their risk. Just like how you pay a premium to cover catastrophic repairs, insurers need to protect against catastrophic losses and make sure they can pay your claims. With the increasing severity and frequency of major disasters, reinsurers act as shock absorbers for the global economy.
Weather and climate are enormous issues with Florida's insurance crisis. And quite frankly, as industry experts will tell you, it doesn't matter what your thoughts on climate change are, because your insurance company believes it and has to be ready for it in order to stay in business. Now, look at these figures compiled by Climate Central as a policy-neutral scientific communication organization. Just last year, our country had more than 25 separate billion-dollar disaster events, and an upward trend considering that there was never a year before 2010 with more than 15. Now, with more people building in climate vulnerable areas, the amount of time between billion-dollar disasters is shrinking. In the 1980s, it could be months between these disasters, but that gap time has been trending downward, especially since the late 1990s. Now, if we could expand on one other type of disaster we're very familiar with in our community, flooding. Now, this is rarely covered by private home insurance. The federal government's National Flood Insurance Program is our best bet. But since Hurricane Katrina, it has been billions of dollars in debt. Now, that's concerning because within the next 26 years, flood losses from Florida alone are expected to grow by 74%. And by the way, this data says that our Charlotte County is the second most flood-prone county in the state, ranked second only to Miami-Dade.
As the frequency and cost of paying out those claims rose, insurers fled Florida in droves, not willing to take on the risk. But as Dave found out, new providers are returning. Now it's up to you to decide whether it's worth it to take that risk.
Exactly. And insurance experts insist that this is a sign that the market is improving. However, people want to know one thing: will it bring down rates?
This is a conversation that we're all having.
Zeke Robbins, like many, has seen his rates rise so much that he's not sure how much more his budget can take.
We haven't seen it go down yet. We've seen a mass exodus of homeowner insurance.
I actually just got a letter from my mortgage company yesterday that said that they're expecting a shortage in my escrow account, and so that my monthly mortgage premium was going to go up $50 a month.
But with these 8 new companies set to do business in Florida, experts predict it will benefit homeowners.
Companies would not want to come to Florida if they didn't feel it was a place where they could be profitable.
Should they be concerned about signing with a company that they don't know?
It is somewhat concerning because a lot of these companies don't have track records. You need to do a homework a little bit and ask your agent to help you.
Agents like Doug Nellens.
They have not yet become battle tested in the aftermath of a hurricane, so they have to set their prices competitively but also responsibly so that they can meet their future claim obligations.
Nellens is working with some of the companies and believes that some homeowners could receive several quotes.
And I think we finally rounded a corner towards a return to more reasonable insurance costs.
Others, though, are taking a wait-and-see approach.
Some of them actually just sold the house and had to leave.
Florida's largest home insurance company is the state-run Citizens Insurance, designed to be the insurer of last resort. Over the last year, the company has been shedding policies, but they've also been forced to take on some homeowners who are dropped by private companies. The big question we wanted answered for you: will Citizens shed policies during hurricane season?
We expect the depopulation program to continue, but not probably until later in the year, October, November.
Citizens' goal is to reduce its policies by about 500,000. That means they're looking to drop another 700,000 policies.
We found some people willing to throw caution to the wind.
I just decided to go naked.
According to the Insurance Information Institute, in 2016, about 8% of Florida homeowners were self-insured, compared to now where it's closer to 20%.
It's a gamble we found here in Southwest Florida.
I've been here since 2001.
That's how long that Vern Karst has lived here on Fort Myers Beach.
When I first bought this house in 2001, yes, I had hurricane and flood insurance, and it was pretty reasonable at that time.
But now?
I just decided to go naked.
He means without wind or hurricane insurance.
I'm retired. I can't afford that.
He shows us just how high the water came on his raised home during Hurricane Ian.
I probably had around $80,000 to $100,000 in damage.
His FEMA flood insurance covered most of it. He knows that he, like many here, is taking a huge risk.
A lot of people don't have it, from what I know. Yeah. They don't.
Including his state representative, Adam Botana.
You're one of those who chose to self-insure. Talk about why.
There's no bank involved, and I felt comfortable, just saying, I'm going to do this. I mean, what does that insurance do? I mean, you pay $50,000 a year, it covers up to $250,000. What's the point?
He admits it's the biggest issue that lawmakers face.
It's the number one issue that I get emails about every week.
His family marina, just yards from the Gulf, sustained millions of dollars in damage from Ian, but it was insured.
There's dents on the roof of my office, and that's because the boats were floating that high.
Only people who own their homes can self-insure. Experts warn it is risky business. Many people won't save enough money when they need to rebuild. For most of us, our home is our biggest asset.
Coming up next, an update on a local fight over flood insurance. Plus, some Lee County residents are hitting the road when they can't afford home insurance anymore.
Electrical service seems fine.
On average, what can you save a person?
And how you can save on your policy right now as our NBC2 Special Report, Florida's insurance crisis, rolls on.
This is an NBC2 Special Report, Florida's insurance crisis.
NBC2 has extensively covered FEMA's recent downgrade for more than 100,000 people in Lee County. FEMA said the county and several municipal governments were letting homeowners skirt federal rules when it came to rebuilding after Ian.
It could mean families lose their 25% insurance discount from FEMA. Right now, we're in an extension period. Dave has an update on where the efforts stand to stay in good standing.
Came home to this hanging on the front door.
Sherry Oaks was among 200 Cape Coral homeowners who was tagged with stop work orders.
We didn't have any storm damage.
Forced to go before a magistrate and accused of violating city codes.
People were just scared, like it was like being violated.
Nearly 30%, though, were found not guilty by a magistrate.
The city has scrambled to bring these cases up because they were reported.
Cape Coral and Bonita Springs completed all of their FEMA-requested paperwork. Lee County tells us they're almost done. They had 414 properties to review, and they've completed 404. They say they'll meet the June 10th deadline set for Estero and Fort Myers Beach. FEMA has not said for certain if it will restore the flood insurance discount to homeowners.
Whether you're buying or selling a home, if you have a national flood insurance policy, it can be transferred from seller to buyer. It's called policy assumption. The buyer doesn't have to get a new policy, which could be more expensive. As a seller, it could be a major selling point. It's more cost effective by keeping the existing policy, keeping the rates for a lower risk flood zone. It can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. There is a catch. If you transfer in the middle of the policy period, you wouldn't get a refund. As the buyer, you'd be assuming the policy and couldn't make any changes until renewal. The process is fairly simple. There's paperwork and a review process.
The sheer cost of flood and property insurance policies are forcing some people to give up on the dream of owning a home.
The big picture of housing insurance, oh, I know it's a thing for those who need it, but not for me.
This isn't the home on the water that Ann Rose pictured for herself.
This is my home insurance. My insurance on my vehicle is my home insurance. This is my home.
She's part of a growing community forced to live in her vehicle.
There are many vehicles such as myself that I recognize that are housing people as opposed to allowing them to be in a normal sticks and bricks.
Our cameras spotted others in this North Fort Myers park living in their vehicles. Situations like hers have many asking lawmakers if they can do more.
If I could just wave a magic wand.
And while Florida lawmakers took some action last year, it hasn't stopped rates from increasing. And while the state doesn't seem likely to do more,
I'd love for people, for them to offer, $1 a year or whatever, but the government can't set that.
Now a federal bill introduced could cut rates by 25% as it covers reinsurance that companies pay, but there is little support for it.
What do? You know what I mean? Like, you either pay it or you roll the dice, and then if a catastrophe does happen, you'll lose more.
As seniors like Ann Rose are most vulnerable.
Things could be worse, and I have to just say I'm thankful to have this.
And as for the dream of ever affording a home,
if I can own a home, I'll have to win the lottery.
You may qualify for grants to fortify your home. It's called the My Safe Florida Home Program. In April, the state added another $200 million in funding for the program. If approved, you can get money to upgrade things like your roof, windows, and doors in order to bring down your home insurance policy. There are some income restrictions. Low-income applicants can't exceed 80% of the adjusted gross median income within the state. As of 2022, that's about $57,000. For moderate earners, it's 120%. For example, Lee County's median income is $88,000. For a family of four, the household income can't exceed $112,000. The program is open to those with an insured value of $700,000 or less and must be a single-family detached home. Applications will begin to be accepted again on a tiered system beginning July 1st and in 15-day increments.
Well, I'm here in South Lee County in the Calusa Palms neighborhood with a building inspector who's walking us through a home inspection to show us how you can save money on your insurance policy and make your home stronger against the next hurricane.
If you have the money, you definitely want to go impact glass.
Rob Stewart owns Coastal Home Inspections. He's conducting a wind mitigation inspection.
I'm also checking for 4-point issues like if there's an obvious leak.
It tells insurance companies how your home will hold up in a storm.
There we go.
And it can save you big money.
I've had clients tell me that I've saved them $3,000 to $4,000 a year on larger homes.
Like this 2,500 square foot home, the owner has seen his insurance rates double. Stewart checks the roof and shingles, looking for problems.
I'll also be looking for the wind mitt stuff to make sure there's not any differences.
Which reveals how well your roof is attached to the home.
All the straps are properly nailed, that they didn't miss any.
And now, onto a 4-point inspection. Checking the home's electric.
Floor outlet loose on second floor near rail. Electrical service seems fine.
Plumbing and HVAC.
There's been a great rise in insurance inspections.
The idea is for problems found to be fixed.
What they wanted to do is they wanted to incentivize homeowners to strengthen their house to make it more survivable.
Inspections like this range between $300 to $375, and Stewart points out that can quickly pay for itself.
Absolutely, provided that their broker shops multiple companies.
So we took his final report to independent agent Doug Nellens with the Insurance Center.
In this particular case, the homeowner knocked it out of the park. There's a total of 7 different wind mitigation discounts available, and this homeowner qualified for all 7, which is phenomenal.
Based on these inspections, how much do you think this could save the homeowner?
So without the inspections, this homeowner was projecting a price point of anywhere between $7,000 to $8,000, which is incredibly high. But with these inspections, we were able to get the price points down to $3,000 or less.
A valuable savings for anyone shopping for insurance.
A look beyond the horizon
Several companies have filed for rate decreases
on where this crisis could go next.
There's a lot more that we can do in the state legislature.
That's coming up next in our NBC2 Special Report.
Welcome back to this NBC2 Special Report, Florida's insurance crisis.
We'd been told by lawmakers to wait 2 years. Well, that time is here. So we wanted to find out if the market has begun to stabilize.
It really depends on who you ask. And little surprise, there are divided opinions among state lawmakers.
The big unknown facing the insurance crisis is what 2024's hurricane season has in store.
All of us are paying more, so homeowners aren't seeing any relief. I tracked down experts to get their thoughts on the future of the market.
The Office of Insurance Regulation announced last week that the market is showing signs of improvement. And while many people are still seeing rate increases, the state says that these 9 companies have asked to decrease rates. However, Mark Friedlander with the Insurance Information Institute issues this warning.
These decreases are small. You're not going to see a big drop in your bill.
The state says that these 10 companies have no plans to raise rates this year.
The market is improving, but there are still a lot of minefields out there.
Including the state-run Citizens, it's swelling again to nearly 1.2 million customers. Policyholders report getting dropped, and many are seeing rate increases. Insurance agent Doug Nellens makes this prediction.
In our neck of the woods, I anticipate that we're going to see sort of a lagging effect.
Democratic lawmaker Anna Eskamani believes that real change requires lawmakers and all of us to do more.
Make noise, contact your state representatives and state senators, make this an election issue. If you're voting this year, talk to that candidate and ask them what their position is on this, how they're going to solve this issue.
The bottom line, for people paying thousands until they see their rates drop, the crisis is real and alive, and that's not going to happen overnight.
Thank you for joining us for this NBC2 Special Report, Florida's Insurance Crisis. We hope that as hurricane season begins, you're able to find the coverage that you need for your property.
And count on us to update Florida's insurance crisis as it unfolds. As for hurricane season, well, we have an entire week of content for you coming up later this summer.
We'll be here for you when you need us, tracking and alerting you first as storms form in the Atlantic Basin.
It's expected to be a busy season, so most of all, prepare and stay safe. And thank you for watching. Have a good night.